Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's executive function coaching expert, autism specialist, and mental health industry leadership consultant. No other than Miss Katherine Parnell.
Hi, Daniel. It's nice to be
Well,
here today.
welcome, Miss Katherine. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Sure, I would love to. Well, as you said, I am an autism specialist. I am an expert in working with individuals with executive function challenges. And I operate a mental health company. And so I have the privilege of working with other mental health leaders and providing business consulting.
Miss Katherine Parnell, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about the Focus Blueprint, practical strategies to boost motivation and organization. And tell us, Miss Katherine, let's start with the title or the message of our topic for today. Why blueprint? What does the metaphor reveal about your approach to motivation and organizations that other methods miss?
Yes. So as I developed the Focus Blueprint, I really wanted to have a program that would be focused on a mapping system of sorts, that there is a design that each individual has that works organically for them. And while there are so many different strategies and tools out there, what our program does is customizes the program for that individual so that they're not just working a program that is also being given to their neighbor and to their friend, but it is a program that is specifically designed for them. So it is a blueprint of how their brain organically organizes and works through those executive function processes.
Interesting indeed, Miss Catherine. And many people see motivation and organizations as two separate challenges. How does your blueprint show that they are fundamentally interconnected?
Right. Well, motivation can come from a lot of different places. And so there is oftentimes an emotional connection to it where if an individual feels confident, if they feel capable in whatever domain that they are in, then they typically have a higher level of motivation. And so what we see is when individuals are struggling, when they lack organization, and not just organization in their day-to-day life, the practical things, but organization in the way that they process information, in the way that they solve problems. We find that when they are able to organize their thoughts and have a better system for themselves, they feel more confident and therefore, as a result, oftentimes have higher levels of motivation.
Miss Catherine, what is the most common misconception people have about why they struggle with focus, and how does your uh, blueprint will debunk?
Well, Daniel, people often get into a situation where when they were in school and when they were younger living with their parents provided the infrastructure and their parents provided the rules and the school system provides the rules. And so they just have to perform in that system. And a lot of people do really well with that. And then as they move past that and they get into adulthood where there's much more autonomy and the focus on independence, then they really begin to struggle. And so there is a myth of not understanding that all of these symptoms were actually present when they were younger, but they were covered up or they were masked by the fact that infrastructure was in place for them. And so all they had to do was perform. They didn't have to organize. And so now that they're an adult, they're really struggling with the day-to-day organization, and they often feel overwhelmed and they are dealing with procrastination. And it's really unfortunate because they begin to feel broken and believe that there is a great deficit in them and something is wrong with them. And really, there is nothing wrong. It is just a matter of that they don't have the appropriate tools. They don't have the necessary strategies that they need to create success in their life.
If someone is feeling completely overwhelmed and paralyzed by their to-do list, what is the very first step from your blueprint that they should take?
One of the first things that people have to understand is the way that their brain navigates information. And so if they are overwhelmed, that can be from a variety of reasons. It could be because they are looking at a project in a really large view. They're not breaking it down into steps, or they are trying to do a project or do a task in one sit down, and they aren't recognizing that they don't have the stamina. Their brain doesn't have the stamina to do that. So we help people figure out what is going to be the best strategy for organization or for initiation of a task. And then we help them build their confidence level so that they recognize they do have the capacity to do this if they're given the right tools.
Definitely, for sure. And can you walk us through one key strategy for reigniting motivation when we're in a complete slump, or not just managing it when we have already have it?
Yes, I can. One of the strategies that I really love is uh, taking a task that you have that may seem so mundane. It just may not be interesting whatsoever, and so the brain is not interested in putting any energy or motivation toward it. And what we do is we develop a system where there is some work, but there is also reward to it. And so we can connect those two instances. So, for example, if somebody has to do the laundry, nobody really likes to do the laundry, but that may not be their preferred task, but they really enjoy spending time on a video game. Then we will work with them to say, okay, what we're going to do is we're not going to do the laundry in general. We're just going to focus on one part of that task. And so one part of that task, maybe we are just going to get the clothes out of the hamper and we're going to take them into the laundry space. That's all we're going to do. And so, and once you do that, then you're going to give yourself a reward of 20 minutes of video game time. And that becomes those little steps so that we are breaking it down, we're connecting reward to it so that the individual just doesn't feel so overwhelmed by the large picture of all of the different steps of doing the laundry, but they're also getting that reward to their brain, which makes them feel good. And so then they don't have a negative attachment to the issue of doing laundry.
Very well said, Miss Catherine. Truly, truly empowering. How does the blueprint help people move from relying on fleeting motivation to cultivating lasting discipline?
Well, Daniel, it really is, as I was saying before, a person's confidence plays a lot in this. And so as a person believes that they can do it, it's kind of building up a muscle, inside of you. And the more that you use it, and the more that you recognize that it's reliable, when you need it, it shows up, then that really helps individuals uh, with their motivation to move into these tasks that or what we call non-preferred tasks. They're the things that we just don't like to do in life. And unfortunately, they are a part of our day to day, and they really contribute to our success or the lack thereof. And so, if we can help people find the correct tools, that is really essential. Find the tool that works for them, develop the understanding that they do have what it takes to be successful. Then we find that motivation is less and less of an issue.
Motivation indeed. We need motivation every time and then. There are a million organizations, apps, and tools out there. Does your blueprint advocate for a specific tool or is it more about underlying system?
Well, our blueprint is really focused on the individual. It is not a program that is a cookie cutter program. It's not something that we, are sending out online. Everybody can purchase it and they just have to figure it out on their own. We really believe in coming alongside people and coaching them and helping them develop that sense of confidence within themselves. And we believe in our clients from day one. Even though they may come to us and not have much belief in themselves, we believe in them. And so that really sets us apart from just any kind of program. We are a coaching program that will work with our clients. We will stand beside you. We have additional services where we can pull in an additional support person as an accountability partner. And that person will work with the client as well and stay with them through the week, texting them and checking in with them to see how they're doing, making sure that we're removing any barriers that they may have or helping the client identify what barriers could be coming up that would prevent them from being successful.
Miss Catherine, can you share a surprisingly simple organizational strategy from your blueprint that has been outsized impact on daily focus?
Yes, I think one of the most surprising ones is what I was alluding to before with breaking down a task rather than viewing something as one thing, whether it is, doing the dishes, whether it is doing laundry, even something as essential as going to work. If we can break these tasks down into things that are much more manageable, then our brain is able to identify what we do have the capacity to do. And so we may think, oh my goodness, going through my entire workday is just too much for me. But if I just break it down to all I need to do right now is get into the shower. And that sounds really good. I'm going to take a shower and then I'll take my next step. And so breaking down those steps is a really simple feature, but it's also it can be very complicated because if a person is emotionally tied in to the complexity or how difficult something is, then they kind of have this implicit bias already toward the task and they're much less likely to do it, which is why it is so important to have coaching that can come alongside you and really work with you so that you're not on your own, especially in the harder times.
Miss Catherine, as executive function coaching expert, autism specialist, and mental health industry leadership consultant, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, Daniel, I really believe in the focus on servant leadership. And so while I may be a leader in my industry, I really focus on what can I do to serve the individuals around me. And so whether that is working with clients or whether that is working with other business leaders, I just feel incredibly privileged to do so. And so both short term and long term is to continue on this journey, continue on this path that I am on, and help as many people as possible.
Yes, and good luck to your goals, Miss Catherine, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Well, I would say discover your own authenticity, discover who you are and what innate, beautiful gifts that you have to offer to yourself and to the world, and focus on cultivating those in your life. And when you walk in a realm of authenticity, according to who you really are, you will absolutely find success.
Definitely, yeah. People's success is always in the corner. You need to cultivate those ingredients to commit to attain those success. And thank you for that advice, Miss Catherine. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
There is a really wonderful book that I read recently. It is called Doing Good at Work, and it is the author is B. Bocalandro, and it is just an exceptional take on why it's so important for us to, even in our workplaces, for us to focus on how we can improve our world and do good in the space that's around us.
Yes, and thank you for that recommended book. And tell us, what is the single most important habit someone will build by following these strategies in your blueprint?
Daniel, I think that's really a personal, it's based upon a personal issue from person to person. It depends on what their value system is. But through going, as you go through the focus blueprint, what will become important is the fact that you are building skills and you are seeing success in your own life. And so you can go from feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and really discouraged with yourself to feeling confident and capable and ready to take on the next challenge.
Yes, ready for the next step. And what is the single most important habit someone will build by following the strategies?
It is a difficult thing to say which habits people will latch onto, but it really will be what is important to them and where they focus on. Whatever they focus on, the things I always say, what you give attention to will grow in your life. And so as they go through our program, whatever they are giving attention to, they will begin to find improvement and success.
Success indeed. And one of the biggest focus challenges today is a digital distraction. What is a practical tip from your blueprint for creating a digital boundaries?
Yes, you're right. That is a difficult problem that we're having in our world today. The Our brains numb out a little bit when we get focused on those devices. And so, what I would suggest to someone who is really struggling with that is to start small. And, lots of people go into the extreme type of response when they think about that. They think, oh, I'm not going to be on social media at all, or I'm not going to use my phone at all. But the truth is that those devices are pretty integrated into our everyday lives. So one of the suggestions that I make is for people to start small and carve out an intentional 10 minutes in their day where they don't have that phone with them or they don't have that device with them, that they're not focusing on it, but to be very mindful, be very intentional about what they are focusing on so that their brain does not view it as a deficit or a lack, but their brain is focusing on something really beautiful and better in their life for that 10 minutes.
Miss Catherine, for the chronic procrastinator, what is the one strategy from the blueprint you tell them to implement tomorrow to start turning things around?
There's so many different things that a person can do with procrastination. One of the big pieces of it is discovering why they are procrastinating, what they are gaining from it, because oftentimes it is the rush, the excitement of having to do something last minute. A lot of people will tell me, oh, I work really well under pressure. A lot of people say that. And so they're getting some type of a gain. So the first thing that they have to identify is what they're losing as a result of the procrastination. They have to be able to view it in a light that says, this is actually hindering me or limiting my success rather than it being a characteristic that they brag about.
How does your system address the need for the rest and recovery? Is focus always about being on, or does the blueprint schedule time to be off?
It absolutely is important for people to take those moments in their day, take those days out of their weeks, out of the year, where they are allowing their brain to recover. I don't think in our society we focus as much on recovery. There is a lot of accolade that is given to a person when they are busy and when they are productive and doing a lot of different things. And we don't give as much attention to the recovery and how much we should be celebrating that. So yes, that is incorporated in, and we view that as reward. That recovery is really the reward that we should be giving ourselves when we have been giving an effort towards something. We've got to have that reward. We're not much different from when we were children. When you have a child, you give rewards and you pat them on the back, and somehow in adulthood we kind of lost sight of that. And many people still need that. They need to know that they are noticed, and by other people or even by themselves, giving that attention to themselves.
Definitely. And what could only remember one key mantra or principle that the blueprint, what you want that to be?
If there was something that people would take away from the focus blueprint, it would be to understand that with the right tools, your capacity will increase. It will absolutely increase once you have the right tools. And so we want to come alongside you. We want to stand with you and help you identify what those tools are, teach you how to use them in a way that's going to be effective for your life, and then watch you shine.
Miss Catherine, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and mental health 101, love letters in third season, and movie 101 review, music 101 in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Catherine, finally, who did you make this blueprint for? How does that person look like when they first pick it up or read your blueprint, and what do you hope they look like after they finish and implemented your blueprint?
The person that comes to need the blueprint and to want to do it is the person that is tired of not being successful in their own mind. They are feeling like they are not measuring up, that they are putting things off, they're not getting things done in their life, and they see that it's really limiting their success, and they're just tired of that. And once they go through the blueprint, what they find is that they really had the strength within them all along. They just didn't know what tools to use, and they didn't know how to integrate them into their life. And so what felt like overwhelm now feels like it is manageable. And when a person walks through that, the relief that they feel is really, really exceptional. And we just count it a privilege to be alongside people as they walk through that.
Miss Katherine Parnell, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely, Daniel. Well, they can they can see more about what we are doing at anewviewcounseling.net. That is our website, and they can learn more about the Focus Blueprint there, as well as all of our mental health services.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Katherine Parnell because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering coaching to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Miss Katherine, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
More to come, people. See you soon.